Oh, that was another situation where I didn't really get to work with Avicii, unfortunately. I don't even think we spoke to Avicii. At least I didn't speak to Avicii. But yeah, so I think Raz went down to work with Avicii at one point, but it took months to get going, man. And then, I sent the files to Ash and Avicii and didn't hear back. And then all of a sudden, I can't remember I don't even remember when it came out at this point, probably close to towards the end of 2014.
I think so.
It was like, I think the first time we heard it, because at the time, Nick was like a madman at researching shit online. So he would like, any performance where Avicii was performing, he was like, I hope he's playing this song. I hope he's playing this song. I got to find it. And he found like a bootleg of him playing it. I forgot where it was, but we were all like floored. We're like, dude, this is amazing. Yeah. And then, yeah, man, sure enough, man, they dropped it. It was a single and
blew up.
It was something special, man. Like,
yeah,
probably. And what's crazy is like, I don't even do that type of music. You know what I mean? That's not like my forte. So to be connected to two different like DJ scenarios, obviously is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I love that story, man. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
So most of us tend to fluctuate between high and low levels of creativity. Do you do anything specific when you need to get inspired?
Nah, I don't know about inspired. I think that to keep from going insane is, you start whether it's starting, me starting just working on tracks. I think it's just about understanding workflow is basically how to alleviate any type of like stress or like beat block, for instance. So now what I've been doing the last few years is like, I work on something, or I would say last couple of years, you work on something and then you take a break after about an hour. So you're not beating your head in with synths and drums and repetition, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you come back with fresh ears, 20, 30 minutes later, and you're like, is this shit still hot? Is it weak? Is this what you'll know immediately? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
totally.
if that's kind of like, to me, the biggest inspiration, honestly, for myself is literally being able to to dissect, yourself in the sense of like, because I could probably sit there all day and work on a track and then not be sure of where I am with it. And my ears are just bleeding at that point where I'm like, I got to finish this beat. I got to finish this track. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I think that I've been working on this for 9 hours. And then you leave and you come back the next day and it's total trash because you've tried to mix the kick drum so many times. And you know what I mean? Like, just fatiguing yourself of music.
Yeah.
I think that's where people kind of drain themselves.
Yeah, taking a break gives you that level of objectivity, know?
Yeah.
You just need.
Absolutely.
It's like taking the track home with you and, not listening for a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, the biggest thing is like, I could do like a really cool 8-bar loop. And then I stop after the 8-bar loop, go downstairs, make something to eat, watch some TV. I do a lot of mindfulness things. I'll watch like whether it could be ASMR or whether I'm watching like a uplifting positive video that my buddy or my partner sends me all the time.
Amazing.
So there's all types of things to kind of break the monotony.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, that to me is the best form of trying to find your creativity. Because I don't necessarily get beat block anymore. I mean, I think if I work consistently, if I'm like Monday through Friday I'm working, I'm going to be tired. It's not necessarily beat block. It's more just like, dude, I need a fucking break. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's the weekend, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's the weekend. And don't get me wrong, dude, I work on the weekend too. So I think Sundays are about the only days I try to take off.
Amazing. Listen, it's an obsessive industry, so it's hard to break away sometimes.
Yeah, man. I mean, like yourself, the creativity never stops, and there's always something going on. There's always something that you can do, whether it's been asked of or whether you just want to do it by yourself without, just because you've found the creative freedom to do it.
Yes, totally.
So, I got a ton of Diet Coke cans laying around. I could just tap on it and make some noise.
Yeah.
And like these little things that I just got into. I have like these little trinkets. Have you ever seen this?
Oh, what is that? I think I did see a picture of this. Yes.
Yeah, it's made by Teenage Engineering, and they're just beat machines, man. Cool little beat things, man. There's like all types of little things.
I think I saw an article about it somewhere on the internet.
They're really cool. I got a few of them. I have like 3 of them, and they're all really interesting in their own right. They all do different stuff. And that's just to get your mind away from, if you're always using VST, software, which I don't have really any outboard gear. So
Yeah, I find like nothing gets my creative juices going like than an instrument that I've never played before.
Yeah.
So like, a new guitar or a new bass will just change everything,
Absolutely.
for me. Like I'm a bass player, but there's
Yeah.
something about physically, the physical tactile experience with something that you've never used before that
Sure.
also sounds inspiring,
Absolutely. I mean, I literally, I've been wanting to get a bass for the longest time, and I don't play guitar by any means, but I have like a junky little Squire, a guitar that I jam on when I need certain things. And then I just bought a bass the other day, and for whatever
Nice.
reason, I've literally had like 50 melodies in like the last few days on bass that I would never have anywhere else.
Right, amazing. So who mixes and masters the music you create? And what influences your decisions?
Typically, it's not up to, but typically the labels are the ones that are saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and get these guys. So, make sure, to me, when they say that, I'm way more strict about how I want my stuff sounding. I mean, I've always been strict about it, but now I'm trying to give them as close as a mix as possible. I don't want you to change my mix. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to take my A mix to an A+.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want you to just polish and make it sound beefier or whatever. Just polish it up. If I'm doing independent stuff, I go to a couple different guys that I am able to, work as close as possible with because I've known them for a little bit. On the Charisma stuff, when he first started, I used a buddy of mine named Cohen who mixed the Goddamn It record, who killed it. He crushed that mix. He didn't mix the Elenium version because I forgot what the reason was, but he mixed the original version, which sounded amazing. And then who else, man? I've literally mixed with everybody. And what spoiled me is the Mary J. Blige record was mixed by Dave Pensato, who is,
the man,
legendary.
Everyone knows Dave Pensato.
Dude, it was like, and at the time, I knew Dave Pensato's name, but I didn't know,
I have a funny story not such a funny story, but I saw Dave Pensato at AES about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, in New York.
Yep.
And I was just shocked at how tall he was.
Dude,
whoa.
He's a fucking giant.
Like literally and figuratively.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Both of those. And he's a gentle giant at that.
Yes.
So he's really kind. He's a sweetheart, man. So he killed that mix for me. I think on that Mary J. Blige, he probably did like 2 passes, I think. But he also sound replaced, which I wasn't familiar with at the time, because I know my drums back then weren't bad. They just weren't amazing. And he sound replaced and he killed it. And then I remember a story of Dave Pensato mixing another record of mine. And I remember getting it back and I was like, dude, why does this sound so squashed? And at the time I didn't know L2s and compression, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And I was with my brother at the time, and my brother's just brutally honest. He's like, dude, that's an L2, man. Tell him to take that shit off. And I was like, all right, cool. And I emailed Dave back, or I call him on the phone. I'm like, hey man, is there an L2 on the master channel? And he's like, yeah, man, of course. I was like, dude, can you just he's like, guys, can you take that off? He's like, man, sure, no problem, man. Anything, man. I was like, all right, great.
Wow.
And he sent it back to me, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
I think L2s are the worst. Anything L1, L2, L3, get out of here.
Not your jam.
No, man, get out of here with that. I don't care how much volume you want. You're crushing everything.
Yeah, it is nice that music is starting to get a little bit more dynamic with with Spotify and YouTube, you know, automatically bringing stuff down.
For sure.
So it's like you listen to the new Billie Eilish record, and the amount of sub is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much sub they got through.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was going to say, going into my next situation, my newest, I don't know how much you've done like research-wise on Charisma, but Charisma, obviously being on the Elenium record, or being his record with Elenium.
I think I heard another thing you did with him.
Yeah,
when I was doing some research.
Well, the newest one I did is called Rebels.
Yeah,
and,
I saw the video.
And the engineer or the mixer who did Billie Eilish mixed that record.
Oh, Rob with a K.
Yeah, Rob Kinelski.
Yes, that guy's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing, dude. Yeah, man. It's funny because it's like it's like weird. These full circles always happen in my path, but he mixed. Rob years ago mixed a record for me that I did for Melanie Fiona, and it was more of like a live kind of like funk record.
Nice.
And basically, he did some really cool shit where he played my track in the live room and then amped that up, and then brought it back in and did some cool stuff. And that was like something that I was experimenting with at the time, just to kind of get that sound of like the 70s. And then, fast forward to years later, trying to figure out who to mix this record. And I actually gave Edward a stab at mixing this record. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. The label and everybody else wasn't so hot on it. And, at the time, I think everybody was like, look, he's on this path. I think he can nail this record. And I was like, look, I'm not going to stop you from having Rob mix the record because I know he's amazing. And it's kind of sonically right where Billie Eilish stuff sits.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think we did like 2 or 3 passes and like crushed it.
Yeah, that sounded amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and it's, to me, honestly, it was just more so because I'm so particular with Charisma's vocals. It was if you listen back, the vocals are super dry. They're right up in your face.
Right up in your face. That was my impression from that.
Yeah, with him, I just know how to get his vocals sounding amazing. And he records so well that every word, every syllable is right there. So I think like I found like now every time he comes over, like my chain with him is like LA2A 1176, and then randomly, I don't even know what made me even want to use this, but it was a Waves H comp. And for whatever happened, it just happened. So I was like, dude, I'm printing these vocals. Don't mess with the vocals. Just like polish. They sound amazing. And yeah, he just beefed I don't know what board he ran it through, but it sounded delightful.
Amazing. So, I actually saw his interview on Pensado's place.
Yeah, recently, right?
Yes, and I think he has like a Dangerous 2 bus or something for Alex Humming, and think that's it.
Yeah. In the box. Well, he moved to a new studio, he told me, and I don't know. He mixed it there, so I don't know if he was using anything on the board that he was there with. But even so, the Dangerous is amazing.
Yeah, I've heard great stuff about it.
Yeah, dude. If I were to get some outboard, I would get a Dangerous just to kind of run it through, because it like immediately beefs all your stuff up. I don't know if you're familiar with the Fatso, but it's kind of like that, or like, I don't know. I mean, there's a number of things that it's kind of like, but
then you have to say goodbye to offline bouncing.
That's a very true statement. Yes, if you can deal with that, I think everybody will feel a little bit better about themselves. But I think we got off a little topic, but. Going back to just mixing, I try to find who I love for certain records, and if I can, if budget allows, I will go to them. Or if you're just amazing and I can get a great mix and it happens, it'll happen. You know what I mean?
Amazing. So you do a bit of mixing yourself as well.
Yeah, but I think more now, I just understand where I want my stuff to sit. Before, like, I would send my stuff out and hope it would come back how I heard it. But that's just not how it works.
Yeah. So basically, being the guy that sends off the tracks has like forced you to like take your tracks to even higher level.
Yeah, because
it's what gets involved in the mixing stage.
Yeah, for sure. Because when you have like these rough mixes that people already like, and then you send it off literally one by one, where it's like kick, snare, percussion, hi-hat, whatever the case is, it's like you're hoping that somebody hears your vision, and you wind up working backwards to go forwards. And it's almost like you do like version 9 when you really should have been on like version 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
So, I've just learned to kind of figure that workflow out.
Totally. Is there anything I didn't ask you about that you'd like to share with our audience?
No, not really. I think for the most part, the only thing I could think of is, we touched on the audio box stuff, which is, awesome right now. We're literally pretty deep in sound packs. We're on Splice, we're pretty much on any sample-based site, whether from like Loopmasters to Splice. We just released this pack called 1985, which is just an ode to, synth bass music and 80s. And so that's fun, which I just did the demo for, which is really cool, man. Like, you always, like I was saying earlier, 80s to me was my favorite genre. So anytime I get to incorporate or do some 80s style stuff, I would, I'm in it all the way. So there's that. And then right now I have a Rita Ora single out, which, I don't know. They just released a video a couple weeks ago. So, I'm excited about that. Yeah. Right now, and just literally working with my partner, Fire, who is literally, the other half of me sonically, when we do stuff together, like we just understand each other so well that our flow and how we work is just on another level.
Nice.